Today, we will be talking about the West Nickel Mines Amish schoolhouse shooting occurred on October 2nd, 2006 in a small, close-knit Amish community of nickel mines in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. In a matter of hours, a local schoolhouse became the center of national grief. When the news broke, reporters from across the country and soon the world flooded Lancaster County. Satellite trucks lined quiet roads and journalists searched for interviews and answers. For the Amish, this sudden media explosion felt deeply intrusive. Their values center on humility, privacy, and separation from the outside world, so the constant cameras and questions clashed sharply with their way of life. Locals described it as a feeding frenzy, an intense, overwhelmed presence in a community that grieves quietly and not publicly. October 2nd, 2006, it was a quiet autumn morning in the rolling farmland of Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. Birds could be heard in the distance. Horses' hooves tapped slowly along narrow country roads. Wooden buggies rattled slowly past open fields. Life in the Amish community moves at a different pace than the modern world. Simple, quiet, yet peaceful. But on that morning, the peace of this rural community would be shattered by a tragedy that shocked the entire nation. The tragedy took place at the West Nickel Mines School, a small one-room schoolhouse in the village of Nickel Mines. The school served children between the ages of 6 and 13. Like most Amish schools, the building was simple. A single classroom, a chalkboard, a school bell on the roof. Outside were two outhouses, a small ball field, and a fenced schoolyard where children played during recess. Inside, a small sign hung on the chalkboard beside a drawing of a teddy bear. It read, "Visitors bubble up our days." No one inside that classroom could have even imagined what was about to begin. The man responsible was Charles Carl Roberts IV, a 32-year-old milk tanker truck driver who lived nearby. He was familiar with the Amish community. His job regularly brought him to local farms, including those of some of the victims' families, making him a known and trusted presence in their community. Roberts was married and had 3 children. 2 neighbors and co-workers, he seemed like an ordinary man. He had no criminal record and no known history of mental illness. But beneath that outward normalcy, investigators later found a man struggling with deep emotional turmoil. 9 years earlier, his wife had given birth to a daughter who died just 20 minutes after birth. Robert left behind suicide notes. In the notes he left behind, Robert revealed that the loss had left him filled with anger towards himself and toward God. Roberts loaded up weapons and drove to the school that morning. Investigators found a staggering arsenal in his trunk: guns, hundreds of rounds of ammo, ropes, zip ties, and distressingly sexual paraphernalia. His motives: confusing, contradictory, and deeply disturbing. In calls to his wife, he spoke of past trauma, fantasies, and anger, but nothing verifiable. Some investigators suggest sexual intent. Others point to revenge or personal despair. At approximately 10:25 a.m., Roberts backed his pickup truck up to the front of the schoolhouse. He entered the classroom and asked the teacher and students if they had seen a missing Clevis pin on the road. The request seemed odd but harmless. When the children said they had not seen anything, Roberts returned to his truck. Moments later, he walked back inside. This time, he was carrying a handgun. Roberts ordered the boys in the classroom to help him carry items from his truck. They brought in lumber, tools, wires, chains, nails, and weapons, including a shotgun and a stun gun. Using wooden boards he brought with him, Roberts barricaded the schoolhouse door. By this point, the teacher and her mother had realized something was terribly wrong. They ran from the school toward a nearby farm to call for help. At 10:35 a.m., a nearby farmer named Amos Smoker placed the first 911 call, reporting an armed intruder at the school. Within minutes, Pennsylvania State Police were racing toward the rural schoolhouse. But inside the building, the situation was already escalating. Roberts allowed the boys, a pregnant woman, and several adults with infants to leave. 10 young girls remained inside. Roberts ordered the girls to line up near the chalkboard at the front of this classroom. He tied them up and began preparing for what investigators later described as a carefully planned attack. Outside, police officers arrived and attempted to communicate with him using patrol car loudspeakers. They asked him to throw out his weapons and surrender. Roberts refused. Instead, he demanded the police leave the property. Inside the classroom, the girls understood the danger that they were in. Some quietly spoke to one another. In the moment of unimaginable fear, Marianne and Barbara Barbara Fisher chose courage over survival. They asked to go first, not out of despair, but out of hope that their sacrifice might save others. I have to stop here and say that these amazing girls reflects the highest form of human compassion, the willingness to give everything and sacrifice themselves for others. At approximately 11:07 a.m., gunfire erupted inside the schoolhouse. State troopers rushed toward the building, but within seconds the shooting stopped. Officers entered through a broken window. They discovered a devastating scene. 10 girls had been shot. Roberts had taken his own life. The victims ranged in the age from 6 to 13 years. Their names are Naomi Rose Ebersol, 7, Marianne Stosfuss Fisher, 13, Anna Mae Stosfuss, 12, Lena Zook Miller, 7, and Mary Liz Miller, 9. A 6-girl, Rosanna King, 6, was paralyzed and later died from her injuries in 2024. Several others were critically wounded and rushed to nearby hospitals. For the small Amish community, the loss was unimaginable. Violence like this was almost unheard of in their quiet world. But what happened next would capture the attention of people across the globe. In the hours following the tragedy, the members of the Amish community did something that stunned many observers. They forgave the killer. A grandfather of one of the murdered girls was heard telling younger relatives, "We must not think evil of this man." Members of the community visited the home of Robert's widow to comfort her. Some Amish even attended the gunman's funeral. They ordered a charitable fund to support Robert's family. For the Amish, forgiveness is not optional. It is a central part of their faith. This is where it gets both inspiring and, if I'm honest, almost overwhelming. The Amish, true to their faith, responded with forgiveness. Within hours, community members visited Robert's widow, Marie, and her children. They prayed for them. They forgave the man who just had murdered. The takeaway isn't just the horror or the forgiveness. It's the reminder that grief doesn't disappear. Even when the world wants to see a tidy narrative, it lingers, and sometimes surviving means learning to carry that weight with grace. I have to admit, it's hard for me to wrap my head around that level of forgiveness. Forgiving someone so soon after such a horrendous act, that's something I just keep coming back to. I can't wrap my head around that. 10 days after the shooting, the community made another decision. The West Nickel Mines School was torn down. The land was left as empty pasture. Months later, a new schoolhouse called New Hope School was built nearby. It opened on April 2nd, 2007, exactly 6 months after the tragedy. The Nickel Mines schoolhouse shooting remains the deadliest school shooting in Pennsylvania history, but the story is remembered for more than violence that occurred that day. It is also remembered for something far rarer. In the face of unimaginable grief, the Amish community chose forgiveness instead of hatred. Their response became a powerful reminder of strength of faith and the possibility of compassion even in the darkest moments. If someone you know is struggling with depression or experiencing suicidal thoughts, your support can make a real difference. While you cannot fix everything, you can help them feel less alone and guide them towards professional help. If you are suffering from some type of depression or suicidal thoughts, you can call for help 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. You can call or text. Call 911 if there is immediate danger. Thank you for listening to me. If you do like murder mystery, please subscribe, follow, like, comment. Let me know what else I should do research on. I hope you have an amazing day. Bye.